April Fools. Yes, I'm late on it, but I wanted to cover some great April Fools and jokes in video games and media. Like I said, I'm late on this, so hopefully that doesn't sway anyone away. I wanted to start off with a gaming magazine, EGM or Electronic Monthly Gaming. They started in the early 90s with their jokes and ended in the late 2000s. Once I'm done talking about their history in April Fools, I'll move on to the in-game things in media surrounding video games. I just wanted to bring up EGM first since they're sort of the pioneers in these hoaxes. EGM started their April Fools back in 1991, where they had a small snippet of a fake code to unlock Simon Belmont from Castlevania in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. The code was submitted by April Fools from EGM. Ha. So funny. And the code is basically impossible for anyone to input, by the way. This was just the beginning of many April Fools to come by them. Their biggest and maybe close to the most famous hoax in gaming happened a year later in '92, where a character called Sheng Long was able to be fought, obtained after completing every fight against all characters with no hits and 9 draws against the final boss. This Sheng Long was the supposed master of Ryu. My favorite part of this was at the bottom of the article, it asked players to find the April Fools among the issue, which is just on the same page. EGM had great success with their 92 April issued hoax, but I want to throw in some other great April Fools by them. I'll try to run through them as fast as I can. In '98, there was said to be an all-playable James Bond sheet in GoldenEye 007. There was some truth to this, as assets for 3 of the characters were in the game, but unplayable without a Game Shark, which basically lets you hack the game. Another large prank being the 2002 issue, where in Super Smash Bros. Melee, it was thought to be able to unlock Sonic and Tails with another code after defeating 20 opponents in Cruel Melee mode. This was spoken about so much for months that Nintendo Power had to explain the rumors, and EGM actually gave a code to those who did the challenge with a copy of Sonic Adventures 2. This next one is a little risque. In 2003's issue, it featured Dead or Alive. For all of its naughty fans, there was a supposed unlock if you completed all 14 days with an impossible time of 13 seconds. Of course it didn't exist, although I'm sure you wish it did. And of course, later down the line, it was modded in. Onto 2 of my personal favorites. Not that I wish they were real, it's just some of my favorite games and things mixed together. To start off, in 2007, there was a fake game called Mushroom Kingdom Hearts where the original cast of Kingdom Hearts now featured 41 new characters from the Mario series. The article alone is pretty funny to look at, from the fake Mario to the mushroom with a crown, just a fun inclusion to the series. Leading into my favorite one by EGM is 2008's LEGO Halo. Being one of their last years, I think this was an amazing inclusion to their April Fools. From a funny title, as Bungie takes things back to building blocks, to the comment on the bottom comparing Halo to Star Wars, I'm sure little me at the time Halo 3 came out would have died over this fake article. To start off where April Fools really happened in video games, I would say Blizzard was one of the first in actual gaming. Where EGM started magazine-wise, Blizzard did it in their own games. Taking place in 2007, World of Warcraft introduced a new race as the Two-Headed Ogre. 2 halves, each controlled by different players and not including anyone in your friend roster. So it was a randomly chosen player through the game's library. With different controls, UI, and chat box, I love the idea of 2 separate people controlling a single character who don't even know each other. A couple years later, in 2008, IGN gave us a trailer of a game that seemed too real by the look of it. The Legend of Zelda movie trailer and poster included. The production they put into this joke seemed far too convincing for it to be fake. Sadly, we never got it. No matter how bad players have been wanting and waiting for it, with the library of better gaming movies being made, maybe it's not too far-fetched to imagine it in the near future. I feel like 2009 was really the start of a consistent flow of video game April Fools over the years. Yes, there were a handful of companies that were doing it every year, such as Blizzard and Jagex, but 2009 saw a lot more participants. My favorite being, maybe not the best, but funny to me, Capcom's graphically intense shooter, Dark Void, and coming in totally 8-bit. Sounds hardware demanding, right? Nowadays it's like 9-bit, am I right? I mean, I can't even tell the difference between this and the newest God of War. The cover art felt retro and even had edgeware on it, which I can't get over as just sounds like we're buying a used game at that point. Really playing part into the fakeness of it, but no short of being lighthearted and funny. Originally being a joke, a year later they actually made this into a real game, Dark Void Zero, which was basically what the April Fools showed. In 2010's April Fools, we're going to be jumping into League of Legends, and a player they announced a year prior, but with a little more detail and some more jokes. The previous year's announcement was Earth the Manatee, who attacked with a chicken foot and spatula. This year, however, our beloved Earth was slain and skinned by our new champion, Warwick, who now wears the remains of Earth. And all the proceeds of purchasing the skin were donated to the real-life manatee preservation groups. Harmless and consistent, there's no better way to improve on a good joke. Out of 2011's variety of April Fools, 2 of them stood out to me, more minor, but intriguing nonetheless. The first one, a GameStop game called Fighting Frogs with a retail price of $9,000.01, which is so ridiculous you can't not love it. The description tells you about the game's evil warlord, Me Gusta, which if you didn't know is I like in Spanish. And one of the minigame's locations is Tognol Zone, which Tognol is the evil version of Longcat. From here, you can play as one of many characters such as Fried Egg, fighting enemies like zombie corgis and murder sloths. And don't forget, all of this with the evil warlord Me Gusta running around. From one great website joke to the next, we move on to Destructoid's site, going completely handwritten. By that, I mean if you stay on the page too long, it'll change into a hand-drawn and written one. Such is this compilation of them. I feel like 2013 had a crazy jump in the amount of April Fool's jokes that year. So listen up, we're moving on to a sports game now, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but this one is pretty funny. In 2013's Football Manager, they pulled a pretty funny April Fool's joke by announcing a very historical football experience, as you guide a brand new sport through their 1888 and 89 season. With a weathered filter and lax early rules to the sport, the idea sounds pretty intriguing. Obviously, quickly known as a joke, but loved even without the reality. Ultimately, leaving people wanting the game to come out. The idea of being able to lead a historical team to their first leagues sounds pretty fun, as you couldn't experience it any other way. We talked about GameStop's fake game, but we haven't talked about hardware yet. That leads us into 2015, and by far the best. That being PlayStation Flow, which was a VR-type device made specifically for underwater sections of video games. So if you ever feel like you're not immersed enough, just slap on your Flow and jump into your nearest body of water. It's obviously waterproof, but if you don't want to get wet, don't worry, you can swim anywhere. And the trailer is frighteningly believable and hilarious to watch. Diving into 2016, 8 years after the best fake gaming movie trailer by IGN, we have Dark Souls 3, the movie by Bandai Namco. With a grainy filter and some 80s vibes, you understand why the end product is actually a VHS. You know, the fossils of modern media. Sadly, with the release dated 11 days after the video, it never actually came out. But we can all hope that if there's not a real licensed movie, we could at least probably have a fan one someday. And I'm sure we wouldn't mind if a movie was ever put on VHS anyway, since a lot of people nowadays like older media. 2017's joke of the year came from Nvidia, releasing a USB plugin that was supposed to be an AI to help you play games, called the G Assist, which is a Founders Card GPU modeled USB. So if you need help with a boss fight, it can help you do it, and in a very styled like. Or the Nurture menu, where it helps you keep track of when to eat and drink, and it even knows when your drinks are cold. The best and most controversial of this totally real AI is the AFK mode. Made to mimic your gameplay, you can keep it playing on your online games while you're away. Not cheating at all, you can basically choose how well it plays, and you can just say it was you. Hear me out, I have a stupid liking to the Sonic series, and I pray that nobody else does. It all stems from an old best friend. And with that info, let's jump into 2018's Sonic April Fools, the Sanic collection of merch. A shirt, a mug, and 2 phone cases with the iconic Sanic meme. Little did anyone know though, that you can actually buy them. On their It's Totally Real link, everyone thought it was a joke, which it was, until the point of being able to actually check out of the shop with these products. I'm disappointed I missed out. Imagine having the mug or shirt. Here's a great April Fool's joke that turned into something real. In 2019, the developers behind the Yakuza series made a video with a new game containing turn-based combat. Everything in all meant to be a joke, but with so much support from fans, the developers actually decided to shift gears and make it turn-based and Yakuza like a dragon. It's great how such a simple joke can really change fans' interactions and a company's moves forward. This one made me laugh a little too hard. In 2021, Razer announced a fake hair dye called Rapunzel Chroma hair dye. You know, since everybody needs RGB even when it's not on their setup. It's not just the rainbow look that makes it RGB, but also the fact that it's customizable from a few touches of your phone. You can dye it whenever you want, but in desperate need, this is the go-to solution for more clicks is what it says. The concept of it is pretty cool, but we're yet to make it to that point in technology. For 2022's Great April Fools, it comes from HyperX, a gaming hardware manufacturer. The new keyboard announced was the TCH grass keycaps. As they said themselves, for anyone who's ever been told to go touch grass, we gotcha. So now you have the real excuse, but don't go clicking on the link, no matter how much you really like the design, because the link leads you right into Finally, this year, out of the many great ones, I'll go for a funny product from a less known energy drink company that goes to Sneak Energy and their fast acting Sneak Eye Drops. A concept that is terrifying to imagine. Putting food product or chemicals in your eye is crazy, but I suppose whatever is going to keep you through your sleepless nights on your grind to be the best. But at this point, I wouldn't put it past anyone to try to stay up a few more hours or just to try anything. So there we have it, around 30 years of April Fools among gaming culture. From a fantastic gaming magazine that held a torch in the beginning to Blizzard making consistent jokes since 2006, and finally seeing smaller companies make goofy product ideas just this year, if I would say anything topping the April Fools, it would be hoaxes that are made through a game's release and the entirety of gaming in general, such as Polybius, a fake arcade machine, or reviving Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. But companies coming together and just bringing some goofiness on one day is just as great. Maybe I'll try to touch on gaming hoaxes in the future, though until then, I thank everyone for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video.